Hello, friends. My name is Romel Nagori, and I welcome you all to our show, The Plymart Show. The theme of this show is conventional businesses, unconventional methods. And on this show, we are going to invite people from the interior industry who has made a mark for themselves by using unconventional methods. In this show, we are going to know about their journey in detail. We are going to know about themselves, and we are going to know about their thought process. Today, we have someone who is an inspiration to a lot of people in the design fraternity. We have someone who has been a TEDx speaker, someone who is a mentor to a lot of technology startups, someone who is a coach, someone who is a speaker, moderator, and a panelist and a jury to a lot of events. He is none other than Niraj Shah. Niraj Shah, an alumni of Interior Design, CEPT University, Ahmedabad, co-founded IDO Design and IDO Graph 22 years back with his partner and wife Minali Verma, who is also a CEPT alumni. IDO Design is a multidisciplinary firm with two main verticals, interior design and graphic design. Niraj has a degree in strategic management from IIM Kolkata and a degree in design thinking and innovation from MIT Sloan. Niraj is a communications director with corporate connections. Niraj has been on the National Executive Committee of Triple ID, and Niraj has been a past president at Triple ID Ahmedabad. So I welcome you, Niraj, to this show. Thank you, Niraj, for taking out your valuable time and coming to this show.
Thank you, Dhrumal. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. So let us start the first things first. As I told a lot of things in your introduction, a TEDx speaker, a mentor, a creativity coach, a panelist, jury, speaker, moderator, and performing a lot of other roles and excelling at all of them. So tell us, how do you seamlessly switch from one role to another and perform all of them fantastically?
Thank you so much. I mean, this question comes in very often. Fantastically or excelling, all that, I don't know. Okay. Right? The idea is to keep doing it. There's only one thing that keeps it going is, knowing that you want to do it, knowing that you enjoy doing it. And that's what drives, correct? Now, how does it become seamless? It just looks seamless. I think it's just about compartmentalizing, right? So I think there must be some boxes in the head where I'm able to kind of, shift from one to the other. But very frankly, when you like to do something, I don't think that they're too different from each other, right? A lot of friends also joke about it, that, iske haath mein mic mat dena, nahi to bahut time chala jayega, right? One of the dear friends that we know commonly as well. So, but the fact is that maybe one just likes talking. So all of these have some bit of talking, correct?
True.
Now, in order to talk, you need to keep consuming a lot of knowledge, right? And that is the actual drive. So the constant learning that keeps happening fuels this. And when you're interacting with people, you're learning something more. So that is the drive. The talking is just one means of expression. And if you're able to kind of string those words together, I think everything falls in place.
Nice.
So I think that's how it works.
So it is one common denominator, that is the constant learning, which keeps you going.
100%.
So Niraj, tell us about your journey. You have said that you have started with an interior designing, then you did this course in strategic marketing, strategic management, then to design thinking, then to a lot of other things. So tell us about your journey.
So, it's been quite mixed. And I say this a lot because, this kind of a discussion or this question has come in earlier as well. Whatever you want to do and like to do, wish to do, comes to you. Okay, so that is one number.
Some sort of manifestation.
100%. Manifestation word तो आप popular हुआ. But, maybe वही है, वही. दिल से चाहो कायनात आपके साथ, right? So वो होने वाला है. और वो होता ही है. And maybe that is what has happened to me. So the journey really starts with, two very, very inspirational people in my life. One who was an architect, and both are in past tense. Sadly, we lost both of them, in the last 3 years itself, 3 or 4 years. One was our neighbor, and he was an advertising professional. Just growing up with him, and of course his kids. Kids mean both son and daughter are very dear friends even today. So we were neighbors. He was into advertising, seeing shoots, seeing things happen. Son is a photographer, Himanshu Seth, who's very big today, and going out with him and shooting and seeing the black book and discussing that bit of it, which was graphic design and advertising. So that kind of love set in. Another was my uncle, my Masa, who was an architect and from Sept. So he was the one who kind of put in this seed of Sept and learning this and going to sites with him during vacations when he used to come to Bombay, or we were in Delhi, for my summer vacations. So I don't know, somehow these two things kind of set in. We needed science for architecture. I got into science. But at one point I'd also kind of thought that नहीं यार साइंस नहीं मिलेगा तो आर्ट्स करके फिर जेवियर इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन कर लेंगे और उसमें से फिर एडवर्टाइजिंग, बिकॉज दैट इज हाउ. एंड पहले तो बॉम्बे ही सोचते हैं, बिकॉज बॉम्बे वाला जनरली बॉम्बे ही सोचता है, बाहर जाने का सोचता नहीं.
फ्रॉम बॉम्बे?
हाँ, ओरिजिनली फ्रॉम बॉम्बे. So my schooling etc was all there, and having grown up with a very wide and variety of crowd, and crowd meaning a great mix of people, different economic status, fields, businesses, and all of that, and the whole energy of growth. It's always a growth mindset in Bombay. Everything is growth mindset, right?
True.
Which we now say growth mindset. So with all of those mixes, you always look at only Bombay कि यार हाँ यहीं पे कॉलेज करेंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे, दोस्त क्या कर रहा है, ये सब बाहर की जो चीज़ें दुनिया वो आपको ज़्यादा पता ही नहीं है, right? But incidentally, because of my uncle and Sept पता था, so applied here in the next year after the whole idea was to do architecture. I didn't get in that year in 1990. So spent 1 year doing interior design, joined, shifted to arts, did psychology for 1 year, and I thought कि भाई ये continue करेंगे अगर नहीं मिला architecture में. But when I did a short-term interior design course, then my focus or maybe my desire to do interiors was higher than architecture. So I got into architecture with Vidyanagar, and that time interior design school was happening. Joined this. And it was brilliant because what I learned there, what I learned here, what I decided to learn here. Now this, why I'm mentioning this, because there is a certain desire to learn. It's not that you're pushed into it. A lot of people, it's like a lot of people say this, say यार cool यार, तेरे को मतलब 7th 8th standard से पता था ये करना है, वो पक्का था कि creative field में जाना है. For what reason वो नहीं मालूम.
You told a lot of things about designing and creativity. So 2 questions. First question is a very basic question. Like, can a creativity be taught to someone, or it is inbuilt?
Amazing. So this is the whole basis of what I'm trying to do right now. The creativity workshops are just a way of getting data. I want to do my PhD in this actually, so that's one thing for the future. When the time is right. The fact is that every human being internally, every human being is creative. Okay, but creativity is also a process. Is what I'm learning and reading a lot. That you can hone it. It's like sharpening a tool.
True.
कच्चा तो है, लेकिन उसको आप जितना शार्पन करो वो उसके ऊपर है, राइट. दूसरा intuition. So I use and I propose and I propagate meditation as a very large tool for creativity, for the creative process, because your overall well-being will make you more creative. And trust me, the other way around is what I will prove also, is that if you're a creative person, creative soul, and your creativity is jagrut, then you will be a happier person, right? Because they are all interconnected. So you center yourself, your chakras are properly aligned, your intentions are correct, right? And that is going to bring you to that aspect of creativity, which is also taught. Correct? है कितना भी internal, but it needs to be managed and honed. And the other is that external, there are a lot of exercises that you do by which you can hone your creativity and sharpen it even more. Right? So creativity can be taught. Or it's just, I'm saying, Jagrut is the right word. है,
it should be channelized.
Latent है,
it helps you.
Correct. Latent है, उसको निकालना है. अब किस purpose के लिए निकालते हो? Creativity can be just an expression. You're doing a great, business, as, interior and architecture materials, but you are also giving creative solutions day in and day out. Sometimes which may be better solutions than what the architect or designer who's coming in or the end user is coming sometimes. You're putting certain things together. You're being creative about your selling, right? Come what may, whether the solution for them is right, wrong, doesn't matter. But you're doing that also because you have to manage your business. So you're being creative even there. You're being creative the way you approach people, right? Everything needs a certain sense of. Now that's not all. Creativity or the human mind or the human brain, and as people, what we are, what defines us as human beings, is our ability to connect unconnected or disconnected or disassociated thoughts. Right? And that is really creativity. And you realize this in your day-to-day life when you start becoming more aware that, oh my God, this is what it is, right?
This leads to another question. With the social media age where everything is easily available to the designers, easily available to the clients, does it hinder or does it come in a way of creativity?
Yes and no. It does come in the way because of what I was saying earlier. Is that because you already have a full picture, so many things that you're seeing, you're not being even able to decide on what works, what doesn't work, what you like, and why you like it. So in that sense, it hinders because you're not really evolving a process through your creativity. And we've created a certain kind of a system within our office now where we're able to use both and harness both. So you go conceptually, then you go back to those visuals. Then you see if the visual fits your concept first, and which we use only for communication. So that is for the communication with the client. Okay, how is it, no in the sense not hindering or how it can help is, one is that if you harness it in a better way, but the other is that let's use it as a tool. We always say let's use it as a tool of communication, right? Which means that it's available for everybody. And it's like घड़ा जो है ना वो भर जाता है, ज़्यादा इन्फॉर्मेशन से भी भरता है, दिमाग भरता है, तो वो घड़ा है. तो आप भरते रहोगे, खाली करने का चांस ही नहीं है, तो दैट फील गुड फैक्टर विल नॉट कम, राइट? एंड ओनली एम्प्टीनेस गिव्स यू दैट पॉसिबिलिटी, एबिलिटी, डिजायर टू ऐड मोर, करेक्ट? और टू रिव्यू. जब कम लगता है ना, तब लगता है कि अच्छा कम है, तो कम क्यों है या किसके हिसाब से कम है? जो उस टाइम पे जो घड़ा फुल था उसके हिसाब से वो कम है. इट्स रिलेटिव, राइट? नाउ व्हाट वी डू इज दैट वी रियलाइज that you need that ghada to be emptied out for everybody. Teams को तो empty out करना है, उसकी internal process है. आप उसको कैसे पकड़ते हो, छोड़ते हो, पकड़ते हो, छोड़ते हो, right? Because everybody is used to it. The newer crowd, so definitely. They start only straight. The thing comes in, layouts are happening, and your Pinterest and all these images are all there, right? Our design, we are very, very sure that we don't, finally it will not look like something that is there, right? Because it evolves through a process, so it remains extremely clean and simple. But now, how does it help in this empty ghada? So we tell the clients also, when the layouts are happening, when our 1 or 2 meetings are happening, lao आप लाओ, जो आपने इकट्ठा किया सब लाओ. Then we do a kind of an audit. So we look at all of that. Then we put them into different zones. And we try to explain to them that ये आप जो बोल रहे हो, ये भी आपको पसंद आया, क्यों पसंद आया, ये क्यों पसंद आया, ये क्यों पसंद आया, पर ये और ये तो नहीं मैच हो रहे, ये और ये तो नहीं मैच हो रहे. Now you are teaching them. If that communication doesn't happen, then it's zero. How do you build trust? If you're going to keep doing what they say that boss ऐसा मैंने देखा, ऐसा मेरे को अच्छा लगता है, ऐसा अच्छा लगता है, lot of people are doing that. ये okay, फिर बाद में presentation में होगा, अच्छा आपका आर्च भी आ गया, कोई ये भी आ गया, ये भी आ गया, तो खिचड़ी बनी मस्त. Some people are very good at doing that खिचड़ी very well, very nicely. Good composition, good experience, good materials, they know how to do it well. Decent, it works. Nothing wrong with it. It works. But it is still marring the creative process. Now what happens is that you are expected to be creative, right? Because that's why they're coming to you. Other problems though even contractor can solve.
True.
You're going to give those 2 or 3 certain things, certain sense of aesthetics, which also they think यार इसमें क्या है यार, आप उठा लो ना, they don't mind. तो aesthetic तो आ ही जाएगा. तो creativity गई कहाँ? When you do this process, एक ही चीज़ होती है creativity. एक चीज़ ऐसा समझ लो कि creativity is happening in the brain, right? It's happening in the mind. तो दोनों माइंड्स को ये बिलीव करना कि ये माइंड में हो रहा है किसी इंसान के, वो ज़रूरी है, राइट? दैट बिल्ड्स ट्रस्ट एंड रिस्पेक्ट. दैट मीन्स देन वी लीव इट. यूल बी सरप्राइज्ड, एंड आई हैव सेड दिस अ लॉट. वी डोंट डू 3Ds फॉर होम्स. फॉर रेसिडेंसी वी डोंट डू 3Ds. पीपल से हाउ इज इट पॉसिबल आज के ज़माने में? initial when this exercise happens, and then when we do a presentation, maybe 2 presentations, we show certain things, we use certain images, we mix certain images, we do a mood board, we do certain materials, and we say that ऐसा कुछ अब छोड़ दो हम पे, राइट? आपको 80% विजुअलाइज हो गया, हमने भी डिज़ाइन 80% तक ही ले गए, आपको 50% विजुअलाइज हुआ, हम 80% तक ले गए, 20% तो जैसे प्रोसेस होगा, बिकॉज अभी तो 1 साल लगेगा, 6 महीने लगेंगे ये घर बनने में, यू स्टिल एट दिस लेवल, राइट, एट दिस लेआउट लेवल, नाउ विल स्टार्ट डिटेलिंग इट आउट, एंड उसमें वो इवॉल्व होगा एंड कुछ चीज़ें चेंज होगी, एंड इट डज चेंज. 3 months, 4 months down the line, you see some new material. Sometimes even that is exciting. You see a new material and you say, अरे यार ये use करते हैं. If it goes into the concept, well and good. If not, then we are okay with what we had proposed earlier, because it is not very fad based for us. It's not very fashion based. But certain things you also get excited. I mean, collaboration itself is a fad. Correct? Because such amazing stuff people are working on, right? You want to bring that in. Now, is that creativity, or are you supporting somebody else's creativity by saying that, okay, इसने क्रिएटिव लैम्प बनाया, इसने क्रिएटिव चेयर बनाई, इसने क्रिएटिव टेबल बनाया, इसने क्रिएटिव पैनलिंग बनाया, हम इन चारों चीज़ को अच्छी तरह से रखते हैं और हम भी क्रिएटिव हैं. आई डोंट थिंक वो क्रिएटिव है, उसमें एक एबिलिटी चाहिए, बट वो क्रिएटिविटी नहीं है. सो कम्युनिकेशन के लिए सही है. Instagram, all of this, social media, as you said, is great because that awareness is coming to us. These many people are doing this, and I say forums, Raw Collaborative is happening, Design Democracy is happening, ID is happening, AD shows are happening, and FOID is happening, IDAX. Look at all of that. Yeah. Amazing stuff is happening. Showcases are happening, people are talking, discussing, mind, everything is there. There is where you get fueled. You see all these things, and then you put it all together. Right? That helps the process.
Tell us something about the thought process. Whenever you design an interior for any of the client, what is the thought process that goes into your mind?
Number one, it's not only my mind, because there's a team, and the project is assigned to one team member, and that designer is the one who's going to be taking the project ahead. So first of all, commonly as a philosophy, there's only one thing. If it is a house, the hero is the client. It is their house, so we need to understand them completely. So first is that we need to make them happy and fulfill this thing, right? Well, and make them happy, not like हाँ अच्छा आपको ये चाहिए तो ये ले लो, वो वाला happy नहीं. हम समझेंगे, चबाएंगे, करेक्ट निकालेंगे, और उसमें से क्या निकलेगा वो हम श्योर हैं कि ये आपके लिए करेक्ट है, because we are going into different level of, not just asking you which color you like and which material you like, ने साथ में चले गए और ये टाइल देखी, वो अच्छा लगा, ये अच्छा, no. वैसे आप मूवी कौन सी देखते हो, आप खाना कैसा खाते हो, आप हॉलीडेज कौन सी लेते हो, आपने लास्ट बुक कौन सी रीड की, आप फैमिली के साथ कितना जाते हो, देयर एजुकेशन, देयर बिजनेस, हाउ डू दे डील विद इन द बिजनेस, जॉइंट फैमिली, पार्टीज, how many people do you bring over, not just parties but other family occasions or whatever, festivals, all that gives us a certain understanding and their growth, right? There's an aspirational level. Right? In one of the cases, somebody had actually told us, it was a young chap, he was about 26 at that time, 24 in fact, and he says, sir, how we are going to live now in the future is dependent on you. आप जैसे हमें जिस लेवल पे आप हमें चाहते हो कि हम जिए, हमारी रोज की लाइफस्टाइल जिए, वो आपके ऊपर छोड़ा है. I mean, it was crazy. And when we seen and we audit their earlier house, so the process is like that. It is that bit of the process, it's not just one thought process. So the philosophy remains constant, that it is important for them. How do you get that right? By understanding them well, asking them the right questions, having maximum discussions, auditing where they are living right now, understanding their whole lifestyle, blah blah blah. For other projects, restaurants, other commercial or interiors of retail, which is we do a lot of it, right? So restaurants and cafes also come part of retail, but this is F&B and non-F&B, clothing, garments, bathware, and stores like this, right? Which has interior architecture materials. So all of these have a certain purpose, and it's very important to know again who the TG is. Who are you designing this for? Correct. Very often the biggest problem for stores like this is obviously whether you're designing for the end user or you're designing for the architects, and because there is a certain difference to it. It can be balanced out, it can be managed, or it can be very bold and just take one path, right? So very importantly, for these other projects, the brand becomes important. In a lot of cases, if the brand is not already existing, if it is existing, we learn and understand it. In a lot of cases, we have evolved the brand. We've started with so many, brands that we've started with the name, the logo, the identity, creating what the brand should be, and then taking it ahead into the interior experience or interior environment experience, right? So all that put together is what determines it. So there is no preconceived thought, अरे इसको तो ऐसा ही करना है. That is not design, that is art. Some projects sometimes just say, अरे यार यहाँ पे ये करेंगे. I don't know, even if I get very excited by that idea, I don't think we can do it. Because we're too inclusive of the context, the person, of the people, of the brand, of the function of that particular space. That's what is important. So if a retail space is done, boss, dhanda hona chahiye. Correct. And what needs to be done to bring that business in? I think that is our understanding, cumulative understanding of so many years. And I think we've approached all design like that. And how branding works is that as we approach these as brands, we also approach residences as brands. Because you understand those personalities as this. And when you look at brands also personalities. We personify them and we put certain aspects and attributes. Similarly, the approach is the same. That we start looking at people as brands and brands as personalities. The logic remains the same. And that's what needs to come out of that. That makes your home more your home.
True.
Right? So that's the approach.
So you help a lot of people building up their brands. So I just want you to share few of the tips for the viewers who are planning to build their own brand. So what all things they need to keep in mind when they are building their brand?
Now, how do you build a brand? Is positioning. And the positioning with differentiation is what builds a brand. Otherwise, it will become a whole, tips and study on just, building a brand. I don't want to get there. But I'm saying that these two aspects in terms of differentiation, which is again coming in honesty from there, or a creative thought in terms of how you're presenting it, where you look at a conventional product also differently, right? Which is how Mini was created, where it was a conventional laminate product, but it solved certain other problems. Today, has been created where it solves another kind of a problem and repositions a liner in a different manner. Correct? So these are certain ways of looking at a conventional basic product. If it is already new and different, then those aspects themselves are great to build a brand. Now, brand also means visibility. So just doing the identity, etc., is not enough. Visibility means advertising, which means putting the right budgets. Today, the pressure of creating it in a shorter period of time is high for everyone. I don't know why, but it's there, even for brand owners. But they don't realize that in order to create a brand quicker, and they're looking at other examples, they don't realize that those guys have put in this much of capital. Right? So you need to be very sure which business you're getting into and what is the gestation period and how much you're willing to wait. Brands take long to make. Today we have tools to make it faster and in a little shorter time. But I always say this, that if a brand generally, organically would have taken 10 years, few of our understanding and some experts, consultants coming together, you can put it down to 5-6. You can't do it in 3 years. वो brand नहीं बनेगी. And we try and go very correct and honest to the context of the brand in order to have a longer lasting impression. That's what brand is about. So only that consistency of messaging, of positioning, of the right aspects brings it and makes it a more formidable brand, which is basically a brand is made in the mind. Correct? The brand exists in the mind. It's how you perceive that particular product, object.
It is in the minds of the consumer.
Consumer, right? So how do you get into those minds when there is so much of clutter? So then you'll have to do those other things. Only those other things we call this another thing, Gujarati mein bhapko, Hindi mein I always use the word nanga naach, अब attention grabbing tactics बहुत है आज. People resort to that. उससे brand नहीं बनती. Visibility आपको मिलती है. अगर आपकी ब्रांड बहुत सॉलिड है और आपको एक दो जगह ऐसा कुछ करने की जरूरत है, some drama, some beautiful idea which can go viral or which can really affect a lot of people and you get attention, great, well and good. That to tell people that this is what our product is good. But if you only rely on that and the product itself or the brand is खोखला, तो फिर वो जाएगा ऐसे कट करके नीचे आ जाएगा and connection will not happen. The brand is basically where people who you expect them to be consumers of this brand or this particular product associate with it, feel good, emotionally connect with it. Brands are an emotional connect over a period of time. How do you do that? When there is honesty and relevance, correct? So I think that is how we approach brands. It's very, very deep. The process is long, but we use other tools that we've understood over a period of time to do it in a kind of a systematic but a little shorter duration of time.
Help you to reduce the gestation
That's
period.
right. That's right. That's all. And there's only one word with brand: patience.
Patience. How do you see wood as an element? A lot of time people say glass, aluminium and other things, they'll replace the wood. So what is your take on that?
There will be reasons as to why certain materials replace certain things, right? Wood has its own inherent certain timeless quality, which also is not necessarily completely timeless because of certain problems that people face with wood. If not used correctly, if not treated correctly, if not supplied in the right manner, then we start looking at any other replacement of steel, aluminium, glass, etc. But attribute to attribute in terms of what wood can do in a space, what wood can do to people, to humans, the feel of it, the naturalness to it, the warmth of it, all those things, for it to ever be replaced by anything else is a myth. It can never happen. Certain aspects of other materials can take over certain things that wood can't do, right? Forget the problems, but say for example, windows, where a lot of aluminum has come in. Glass in wood could be done, and it is being done. But then what you have with that wood is that the section, in order that strength is there, the section becomes much bigger and thicker. Which in case of insulation or which in case of working or expansion contraction over a period of time with very harsh weathers, obviously a replacement material works better. So it is not going to happen. It's not going to replace it completely. Nothing is. And it's a whole cycle. Now, certain materials have a lot of, other planar aspects. So planar aspects meaning a wood as a section is a section, but which can be polished in different ways. It has so much of, natural grains and veins, natural color. And with that natural color, I think this is so nice, to hear a little bit of, woodwork happening around. It's such a lovely atmosphere. So with that wood, you can also stain certain lighter woods into different shades, which gives us so much of a flexibility. Planar is when it becomes a veneer, so that you're using it. Now today veneers can be embossed, so there is a three-dimensionality to it. So you're getting the warmth and you're getting the design, or what I call is not just design, but visually you get a little more arresting factors when it creates patterns. So, that whole monotony of a single, flat surface has now changed to become something little more patterny or visually more interesting, correct? Now similarly you'll have wood replacements where you have what we call is popularly known as charcoal or louvers, and all of these products have come in, which are more plastics, but they have a certain level of convenience and cost factor. So yes, the aspirational value of a natural material is always going to be high. But there will be copies of it at the lower end of the spectrum where somebody wants that kind of a feel, but they don't want to spend that kind of money. Or the convenience in terms of time. That overall visually in a photograph, or when you look at it at the first shot, you get the same feeling. You get the same visual. But maybe the emotion and the feeling that a wood can give, nothing else can replace. Right? And that is where we need to actually, keep continuously working on and focusing on. And that natural materials don't need to be pushed hard, because they have a natural gravitation towards that material. And I think that's what we need to always keep coming back to. As designers also, we also come back to it, and we know that there's no replacement to it. Natural material, right? You have also cheaper options, right? Today laminates look as good as veneers, right? So, the woodness of it remains. Even if it is a laminate, it's replaced a veneer, which is natural, correct? Which is a patta of the wood. But now even laminates can come in. And that also works because there is a certain functionality to it, which is the plastic. But look at the amount of consumption of laminates. Look what all is happening. I mean, embossed, or, synchro, is happening in laminates with 1.5 or 2 mm, where you can actually create a depth. So the whole plasticness or the unnaturalness is gone completely, right? It starts looking like stone or wood. So natural materials cannot be replaced. There will be temporary replacements, or there will be functional replacements, but there is a cycle, and there'll be people who have used all of that will come back to wood. Because finally, when you go up and aspire, you'll realize that people will now say that, okay, ये बहुत हो गया, अब तो now I can afford, अब तो मुझे लकड़ा ही चाहिए. So it's not going to go away.
Okay. Tell us, a lot of times interior designers, they go to China to buy furniture. What needs to be done to ensure that interior designers do not go to China and stay over here and contribute to the local economy rather than the Chinese economy?
It's a very valid question, and it's a big question. Somebody who stayed away from this whole idea of going to China initially, now we've become fans. And you know why? One is, of course, you're getting great quality, and you're getting great quality in everything. And it's not just the typical more popular stuff that we see. Earlier, we used to see a lot of cheap Chinese stuff, which was not very long-lasting, etc., because people used to buy that kind of stuff. People went there for cost-effectiveness. Then came the whole wave, and which is still going on, is where you're going in for cost-effectiveness of a certain taste. Means it is your Italian taste, Italian feel, or the European look, or whatever, which is mainly steel wood mixed together, and other materials, composites, etc., which is cheaper than that, but at a fabulous finish. Now, what is the advantage of going to China, and why we end up going there or even pushing it sometimes? And that is the answer in terms of what India needs to do. We have only one word, is convenience. In about 3.5 days, you're able to look at everything that is going to be finally bought, how it's going to look. Client is also there. There's no discrepancy. You're seeing it. You're preparing a whole list with visuals, etc., sizes, blah blah blah. Even with part customization, you're getting exactly what you're seeing. So one is that convenience of getting that much of a choice and variety in those 3.5 days for a typical 4 or 5 BHK apartment or a bungalow, including outdoor furniture. And this I'm saying only about the loose items and lighting, etc. People are also doing kitchens from there. People are doing wardrobes from there. People are doing panels from there. In larger quantities, it helps because it's in that case it is cost effective, and you're being able to see everything in one shot, taking decisions together. So that is a big advantage, convenience. How do we combat it in India? We don't have one single hub. Today, if we want to see, we know so many, and there are lovely things happening. All these shows that I mentioned, with new designers given a platform at Raw Collaborative or Design Democracy or all the others, all this is there. Great design is happening. Where do you find it? Today, when we try and, we want to use some amazing stuff that is being launched, or it's already there since 3, 4, 5 years, we show to client and say, "Acha yaar, iska piece dekhna hai." How are you going to see that piece? You'll have to go somewhere. Now, somebody is manufacturing in Bangalore, somewhere. I mean, some are also in other cities of the country, which are not your metros. So connectivity. Then you'll go for only that one furniture piece there. Is it only one piece? Are you going to do everything from there? They don't have everything. Their timelines are, we are still a little bit of a problem there. The good ones and popular ones are busy, so timelines don't match. They'll tell you, okay, we can give it to you in 45 days, 60 days. It will not happen in 60 days. So there's a whole mix. If we are given that freedom and say that, boss, mix and match, we don't want to go and see it, then we'd love to do it. Correct? Now the answer to this is to create a hub. And I had actually proposed this after my second trip to China. And I had already 4 people ready. And it's something that I would still propose to some of our real estate players, who we work with very closely, developers, to actually create a hub. And there is no other city in the country, I would say, that is better than Ahmedabad for it. Connectivity, land, cost, other manpower, sales manpower, other entrepreneurs, partners getting onto the project. So if you create a hub, and we designed everything. In fact, we were creating complete buildings, so you could have hubs of multiple things, furniture in one, and tiles in one, and lighting in one, and multiple, and you have a food court, and you have kids play area, so that you can come in. People would come in as full families. You come in here, and you get everything in one place. That time it was a small model of about 8 or 9 buildings, with about 3 stories, 4 stories each, with parking, there's that facilities. Today it can be expanded and be created as a semi-city, as a complete township where you actually go there and create a hub. All your Indian manufacturers would be there, and not manufacturers, but manufacturers who have a display. So you don't have any factories here, everything is on display. We don't have anything like that. If that happens, it will become convenient, it will become much easier. Today to pick up things and go to Jodhpur for something, now you go to Delhi, you may have Kirtinagar as one area, you have MG Road in Ghitorni is another one, where there are different tastes, different things happening. Or you'll have these individual designers who have their workshops or displays in some other areas. So you may go to GK and there'll be one shop there. It's a waste of time traveling around there, right? Kuch Noida mein, kuch Gurgaon mein, kuch idhar. Bombay, if you go, you'll have in Lower Parel, you'll have something in Andheri East, you'll have something in Kolaba or Fort. How do you navigate the entire day? And then you're taking decisions based on, oh yeah, this, but then what if we like that? And then what if we this? You're not making a decision. If you're making a decision quickly, cut, it's okay. We being inclusive is also a problem, right? We want the client also to be there. We want the decision to be sure. Okay, we're going for this. Either you leave it to us, we'll make sure that it's all done well. Then we don't even need to go because we've seen them. We've seen the quality. We've seen them at the shows. We know them, the owners who started it. We've seen their journey. We want to use it. We definitely want to use it, but it's inconvenient. That's a problem.
So if we create an ecosystem wherein the access to furniture is easier and it is more convenient, then you think a lot of people will stop going
100%.
over there and
100%.
Tell us about this AI thing. A lot of people, they say that AI in future, it is going to replace a lot of designers' job. So how do you see AI? Is it like a benefit to the designers or it is like a competition to the designers?
It is both. It is going to be a competition for sure. Till now, as I've been seeing things and this question has come in and I've created forums and platforms for a lot of more experts in AI. I mean, we just started dabbling into it, not using it so much. These are people who have been using it in a big way. For them, it is the ultimate thing. And when you see how they are working on it, you'll really 100% believe that both the things. You'll believe that it is a brilliant tool to have, no doubt about it. But the more somebody is using it, you also realize that, boss, इसको तो इतना आता है, अभी अपने को कुछ नहीं आता है, तो अपने तो wipe out हो जाएंगे. Which means that part of it is true. AI may not wipe you out. Not knowing AI may wipe you out, correct? And it may not wipe you out, correct? It's again you creating your own niche. The kind of expansion that happened, and if you want to expand in that manner, then you will need to have maybe both those approaches in an office, and have different fee structures, and this is going to happen. You say you want it very quick, you want it AI based, and you'll have another team working on it. You'll say that no, these guys are all my mind thinkers and conceptual developers, who do it in a different way. इसमें आपको 6 महीने लग सकते हैं, but इसका फीस अलग है, उसका फीस अलग है. Maybe पहले वो प्रीमियम है, उसके बाद वो प्रीमियम हो जाएगा. Correct? ऐसे था ना? Machine industrialization happened, cost went down, volumes went up. Your economy of scale started coming in. So earlier those industrial things were initial ones were expensive, then it became cheaper, it became mass produced. Similarly, all this is going to happen. What it's going to really be, believe me, after speaking to so many people, nobody has an answer. It's all speculative. It's all speculative. But the amount of work that people are doing in terms of the tools that are being created, it is phenomenal. I mean, every week there are new tools coming in. I mean, there are about 6 apps which are only going to replace BIM. Means you can give a voice command and can give you complete BIM. Forget anything else. Forget in between AutoCAD and SketchUp and 3D model. Boss is giving you complete working drawings with a timeline in terms of how it's going to be done and in a jiffy. So this, I don't know whether we look at it as scary or inspiring and say that, boss, we need to learn this. I think offices will have to dedicate people, pick up people or train people to do this because all principals may not be able to do it. Also the ability for after a certain age to adapt technology is tougher. I'm sure, and a lot of star designers and who ruled the roost for so many years will have to decide this for themselves. That let us create a cell, let us create younger people who we can train, or bring in trained people. So you have to have this as a part of your offices now. Design will need it. Coming back to the original thing that we started off from creativity, and this is where that to give your feed also, you will have to have correct briefs. So clients will have to be engaged more to create the right brief because the wrong brief will give you a wrong solution. And then it will be too late because then you are already being able to, quickly, make it, right? Construct it. And then you quickly constructed it and then quickly you start seeing all the problems in it because they were not discussed correctly or the brief was not interpreted correctly or was not coming in correctly. Then also there will be problems. So these problems will happen initially for some time. Some may reject it. Same thing happened with automation, right? Same thing, technology. Some people have gone through the cycle, they don't want it anymore, right? So It's like that. And some people were graduating onto it and saying that, हाँ यार मैंने खाली वो remote वाली lighting की थी, अब मेरे को पूरे घर में automation चाहिए. So it's a whole cycle. There are different people going through different cycles. In AI also the same things don't happen. But your own human mind is the powerful tool which should not be, we should not relegate ourselves to saying that अब तो AI के ऊपर छोड़ दो सब कुछ, हमारा दिमाग तो कुछ नहीं है. That happens, then we'll become slaves. And we will
Human
become
mind
slaves.
is more powerful.
It is because it's the human mind which created it. But so our associative thought process is much powerful, and that is what creativity is, and that is what we have to keep sharpening, right? But information gathering and assimilating AI tools can do better.
True.
We will never be able to do it in that much of time. There's a whole process where we have done it all these times.
The same was with computers, like the calculations that it could do was in fraction of seconds, but the coding has to be put in by the humans.
Exactly. To know exactly what and how it is going to be used, because a lot of AI tools will also die a natural death, even if they are very good. Because how many tools will you adapt?
True.
How will you know which is good? Today on Instagram you'll find everybody talking about it. Whoever has been involved with it, they know about it. But what is it that you want to finally do? And that only a human brain can do. Only the human brain will be able to interpret some other human brains and human heart's desires. Correct? In terms of what do they desire for their own joy and happiness in their home or in their this. So that matrix only one human to another human can do. Correct? I don't know if I will be able to do that in the future. Let's hope not, because we don't want to get into these two realms. Get AI to get into the happiness in the that realm, the strongest human element, right, and the power of the mind. So we don't want them to get there. So the associative thought process, which is actually creativity, or what I had got excited about and discovered and studied during my thesis, which was on metaphors in design. It is understood, and I'd established it then, which had never been done before. And today also, just yesterday there was an article in the newspaper which spoke about associative thought process is the highest form of human mind, human thinking, which is when you start thinking in analogies and metaphors, because that's your associative mind. So that is what needs to be honed. And I'm hoping that as much as AI grows, the need for creativity grows, and I can run my life and enjoy my lifestyle based on the creativity workshops that I give out.
Super.
So I made a pitch, on your show.
Super. Tell us about one thing. A lot of times people, they get scared to approach an interior designer or an architect. So how would you tell if someone who is into product or service industry, what all things they need to do when they approach a interior designer or an architect?
One is that, there are certain myths. There are certain things that come in with the profession, and obviously there is a certain level of respect, because the thought process and the involvement and the emotion that is connected to it puts designers and architects, and especially because initially it was the architects who were, holding all of this from the architecture and interiors and all of that. Now you have specialist interior designers and you have specialists within individual fields. All of them have grown that through a process, learned for 4 or 5 years of a course, and then got into this. Now, that whole respect has somewhere kind of gone down for 2 reasons. I'll tell you about the approach part, but has gone down also due to 2 things. Is that anybody who's a product owner, starts looking at those 10, 15, 20 designers as the big guys, because they're the big consumers. And they don't care whether their process comes in through picking up from the internet or actually through a good design process. It doesn't matter to them. They may have a little different respect for something. अरे यार ये तो मस्त एकदम दिल से करते हैं यार, किसी वो कोई काम इनका रिपीट नहीं होता है, सब अलग लगता है. They'll have a respect. But धंधा वो नहीं ज़्यादा दे रहा. धंधा तो वो लोग दे रहे हैं जो फटाफट फैक्ट्री की जैसे कर रहे हैं. So there's a natural affinity. Now the respect is coming in for other reasons other than the creative process for what it was built earlier. So now what is happening is the commercial aspect of it has become your respectable or status-based thing. So it's not for the real things. What happens with this is there is an awe that is created, but the respect may not be complete. Also, because when there is a commercial aspect to it, even designers, and architects and large firms also, there is a certain kickback system, which obviously companies and brands look at it as a marketing cost. And this was built in earlier, right? And it was always kind of considered as okay or legitimate. We have followed in 100% ethical practice. We don't take any kickbacks or commissions from anywhere. not from vendors, not from agencies. Having worked with the vendors and agencies, at the back end, we've realized that how this hurts the whole system in a different way. Because somewhere or the other, somebody's paying for it, and it's mostly the client. A lot of clients we've spoken to and surveyed feel that, ठीक है, we are considering हमारा ये cost था, उसके बजाय इतना cost extra, ठीक है. A lot of people undercut the fees, to kind of do this. Now, why all this is important is that because this system is there, a lot of salespeople approach all of it in the sense that, they'll talk about their products and all that, and then suddenly, sir, we have a great scheme, we also have a nice, discounting system. So there are certain ways, and they try to break the. So you're not building your relationship based on the real virtues, and the virtues are two: the ability of the product and your ability to service the client, the end user. Correct? If these two things are completely intact, it's only a matter of communicating this well, right? Now we've seen that confidence. When somebody comes in with a product which is really, really solid, or when somebody comes in, jo sikhaya hua hai. So this whole sales training that happens, in terms of typically, talk to them like this, show them this. There are even ways and tricks of, how do you become friendly with the designer and architect. There is no rule, and every individual is different. And people in creative fields are obviously even more individualistic, and you don't know what moods tick them or trigger them or tickle them. Only thing that comes across correctly is your honesty, right? To your approach, to your material, your 100% understanding and knowledge of that particular product and the industry. You need to know all your competitors well, because your client is, or the architect you're approaching is always going to first compare your product to something else. And it's not a comparison, it's also to understand, gauge it. अच्छा ये किधर है, ये इससे better है, ये इससे ये है, ये इससे better है, लेकिन साला सस्ता है.
Like what value you are trying to give.
Trying to pitch, and it may be one time thing. You built a rapport. Achha, sometimes you're pushing in third or fourth product after that architectural design has already used two of your products. So it's very easy for that brand, or it's very easy for the store which is doing multiple brands. So now your approach becomes easier. Why? Because already the confidence is built. That means everything is working on confidence first. Your own confidence and the confidence that you're instilling in that person. And along with that confidence, you're building in trust. Whatever I give you, I'm going to give you this. So therefore, honesty is important. No architectural designer likes you talking about any other brand negatively. Right? Never say that, no, accept it. You know your market so well that accept that, this particular aspect of this particular product is better. We've had some people come in when we've mentioned certain things. They say, so if you're actually using this and you know it well, trust me, sir, it is more expensive, but if your clients can afford it, don't use our product. I mean, that product is better. There are some people who've said it. And because of that reason, we've ended up using that product where the cost is not permissible, or the higher cost is not permissible. But then उसमें हमारे पास 4 और options थे. लेकिन just because of this person's honesty in saying this clearly, he just actually put the catalog. He says, sir, if you're using this, my products will never be able to match this. But we are much cheaper, and we are good products, and we give you this much of a warranty guarantee. There's not going to be any problem with our product. But yes, if you're using this, then there's no point. And then the discussion. So honesty to build in that trust and confidence. The other is that you need to hone up your own skills in terms of expression, your own body language, certain way that you dress up and you talk. But don't be cheesy. A lot of times we've seen overselling or making those sales pitches. It puts, at least personally, it puts me off. And I've heard that a lot of other people also it puts off. The other is time. I enjoy learning about new products. I think about it. We welcome new brands, vendors, teams coming in. Very easily, I end up using a lot of my time, but it's because a product is coming and walking to you, so it's great learning. Everybody's not that welcoming, so you've got to make sure that in that specific window of time that you've got to be able to deliver your pitch in the best possible manner. So practice, do it correctly, show it to a few other people, build confidence, talk to those guys and say, sir, is this okay? I'm going to be approaching this XYZ. Don't worry.
So there's this one question: how do you pronounce the design firm? It is IDO, IDO, what exactly?
Very nice. So, and in fact, somebody actually suggested this to us. We suggest things to be done in the right way, and we couldn't do this for our own firm, but we lived with it because people call it I do a lot. I do this, I do that, which it is not. But because it was easy and became popular, we kind of were okay with it. It is also, a lot of people call it IDO as if it's an abbreviation, but as 3 separate letters. There's also international product design firm and multidisciplinary now, IDEO, which is also pronounced as IDO. But we are not that. We are actually IDO. And IDO is, very interestingly, I came across it during my thesis, and thankfully my partner was also okay with the name. So we did not look for another one. We had a couple of options. But IDO actually is an artificial auxiliary language. There are Idoites in the world who speak IDO.
So with this, we come to the end of this show. Thank you so much for watching this show till the end. Thank you, Niraj. In today's episode, we learned a lot of things about you. We, in general, got to know a lot of things about how to build a brand, what all things people over here needs to do if they want people to come in over here and buy furniture from India. And we had a lot of different discussions on AI, designing, creativity, and what is the thought process that goes into the mind of an interior designer. We also got to know how to approach an interior designer in today's episode. So thank you, Niraj, for all these things. If you liked our video, do share it with your friends, do follow our page, and do follow our channel for more such exciting content. See you all in the next podcast. Till then, keep on approaching conventional problems with unconventional methods. Thank you.